afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your midday market report for Wednesday, February 2nd, 2022. Already 2 days in to the shortest month of the year. How time is flying. It's Wednesday. It's our favorite time of the week as we get to cross the border and let Andrew enjoy that frigid weather. But with that said, we're still shoveling out the 2 feet. The rough part now is having to go out there daily and all the ice patches and stuff and cleaning it up and stuff. Might get a little rain, sleet, snow in the next couple of days just to add to the mess. But without further ado, let's cross that border. Let's bring in our friend. If his name was Peter, I'd call him Peter Park, but his name is Andrew. So he is just crushing it on the frozen pond. So let's bring him in. The one, the only, Mr. Andrew McInnis.
It is great to be here, Jeff. Always happy to be on the show with you. I wish I had a hoodie that is as comfortable as the one you're wearing looks. That looks like a very comfortable hoodie. We got a lot of snow as well. I saw the pictures you tweeted out. We just pretty much finished off our shoveling, and then on Friday we're getting another big storm again. So welcome to the East Coast. We'll obviously East Coast sports investors. It's in the name right there, but the time is flying. 2022 is already going by fast. January is behind us, and hey, we're one day closer to officially meeting in person and sharing, having some drinks in Las Vegas. So look forward to that. And look forward to the show today.
Well, because of the time frame you're moving in, I am blessed to be able to, because initially the crew that we usually go out with, they do a lot of fantasy baseball at the Bellagio, and they're flying in on the 22nd. And so they're going to be there from the 22nd, I think, through April 4th. And when we had talked and you had told me when you guys are coming in, I was like, shit, well, I guess I will have to get there a little earlier. So instead of being there for the last 2 weekends, I'm going to probably now be there for the first 2 weekends. And I can stick it out till the 4th if I have to, but I can't wait. Reaching out to a lot of friends, a lot of colleagues. There's going to be a lot of people there. Have you ever experienced March Madness in Vegas?
No, I haven't really experienced March Madness anywhere else besides just at home. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm super excited. And yeah, you talk about, just networking in general. I mean, look, I'm looking forward to, people are saying to me, oh, well, you're going to Vegas again. You were just there in December. And I'm like, well, it's a little bit of work, meet some people, have some fun. But we all know it's March Madness. We all know we're going to have some fun, do some partying, and watch basketball. But it really, truly is a great time to meet many people in the industry, to connect, to share some ideas. I had the privilege of being on the Talking the Line show with those great guys, and happy to have met them through you. And they might be there as well. So many people will be there. So look forward to lots of networking and some good times.
I try to explain this initially to my wife, my daughters, friends that want to listen. Pre-COVID, I was going out to Vegas about 6 times a year. This trip is always the longest. It's at least 2 weeks. We've done it as long as 3 weeks because we get into the start of the MLB. And people look at you like, are you crazy? How do you do it? And when you get accustomed to going, it's not at the tables till 4 a.m, partying till you're, eating at the prime and, $200 steaks and, 400 bottles of wine. It just, you have a night or two where you go into, those certain, you bless yourself. You those are your celebratory, when you meet up with the wager talk people and stuff like that. And you have one of those nights, but for the most part, you get yourself set up where, okay, on my way back to the room, there's a nice food court there. I get a slice of pizza and a Coke, and I just decompress in my room while everyone else is going crazy. And you just, the more time you kill not spending money, that's where you win in
Yeah.
Vegas. And so when you go in 6 weeks, like for myself, 2 to 3 weeks in March, I go out in July for the World Series of Poker. I'm back in there in September for the start of football and college football. Try to tiptoe back in November and then just start it over. So I'm glad you're getting your feet wet because you're going to start to see. I I get more sleep in Vegas than I do back home because I'm that guy that's up at 5 in the morning. And I'm also that guy that's back in my room at 8:30, 9 o'clock when everyone's just getting their third win ready to let it roll for that night.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I'll be honest with you. That won't be this trip for me. That was probably in December with my girlfriend. She goes to sleep super early already, and then the time change and stuff. I'm going with three friends. Some of them haven't even been to the States in several years. One of my buddies has never even been to America. He is ready to go hard and barely sleep. So it is definitely going to be that. There's a reason why we're only going for a couple days because we wouldn't survive any longer. But this is going to be something that's super exciting. And it's awesome because I've been to Vegas twice now. One time was actually just alone to meet some people from work. One time was with my girlfriend, which was great. And now it's time to show my friends what it's all about. And so this is going to be a different story. I think this this trip will be a different story.
We call that the classic hit and run. How's that sound?
Yeah, I'll take that. It's a good point you raised, and we talked about it before. People always think like we talked about it. I don't want to repeat myself, but you don't have to spend a bunch of money to be in Vegas. It's a huge misunderstanding. You don't have to go to a place that's charging you $80 for a steak and go to the most expensive nightclub in town. Like for me, like when I go to new cities, when I was in Boston, my friend that lives there showed me all around. And when I was in New York, oh my goodness, you can just walk around like they're in Vegas. Oh my goodness, just the people watching you can do in general, Jeff, is just exciting enough. You could just look around at some people and walk around with a cold drink. So there's definitely a lot of free entertainment. We'll put it that way.
And when I stay on the strip, I talk about it. I get my 10,000 steps in. I'll leave my room. I'll start at one end of the strip. I'll walk all the way down to the Venetian, and then I'll come back around past Caesars, Bellagio, um, Paris, all those, the Aria, and you get some good cardio. You said the people watching. I talk about the food courts. When I stay at the other end at South Point, like Grandview, right across from South Point, me and Dave will sit there for 4 or 5 hours just talking to Jimmy Vaccaro. We'll be talking to Chris Andrews. We'll be talking to the VSiN guys coming in and out from their shows. And either we get lunch at Del Mar that between the two of us costs $50, or they got a hot dog stand over there for $1.25.
Yeah, yeah.
And we're just people watching. We're watching the board and we're just talking shop.
Yeah. I forgot to mention to you, unfortunately, we weren't able to get the Westgate anymore. It's kind of funny. I'm staying at the Sahara now, which is like I just wanted somewhere near there because I've stayed like right on the strip both times I've been to Vegas, and Sahara is not obviously right on there, and so that's where we're staying. But I'll probably be hopping in an Uber or walking and just heading over to Circa or heading over to Westgate. And my friends obviously want to see the strip as well, so. But yeah, unfortunately, the day we went to book, we figured out our crew. There's four of us. Went on that website, Jeff, the vacation package, and it was gone. So
Well,
that's too
like you
bad.
said, the beauty of it all now is Lyft and Uber, and you're going with a couple guys. So between the three of you, it might cost you $20 to get to Circa. It might cost you $16 to get to the strip. Divided by three. I mean, it's
Of
nothing.
course, yeah,
Someone owes each other a couple drinks or something. That's all.
yeah. That's how I always say it. Don't pay me back in money. Pay me back in drinks. That's like with the Vegas Golden Knights tickets. I treated my buddies, and I got picked up tickets for the Knights and Panthers game. And I said, hey, I don't want you guys to pay me back, but if you want to get me a few drinks at the game, I won't argue that.
Take the over in that game when you're out there too, as well.
I definitely won't take the under. That's for sure.
Um, Olympics is starting. U.S., Canada not sending, the NHL guys. I know we didn't talk before the show. This is always unscripted, so I might be throwing you a curveball here. Can you give me any insight on the Olympics and hockey and what to expect from a Canada viewpoint or even a US, or what to expect overall for the type of play that we should be looking for?
Well, I'll start with this. I mean, I think I actually mentioned on your show about how you could get Russia at plus 400 like a month ago. That quickly moved to plus 125. It's actually almost a minus price at some shops. People think that it is, the bookmakers think it's a lock. And it's always funny using that word for Russia to win, you know. The reason being because the KHL, the Russian league, is the second best league, obviously behind the NHL in the world for hockey. So they're ahead of the pack. But one thing I will tell you about Team Canada is that I expect unders with them. A lot of times you see teams like USA and Canada go to these tournaments, juniors, IHF World Championships, or Olympics, and they run the score up big time. Run the score up, run the score up, run the score up, both America and Canada. But in this instance, with these two teams, you know, you always see these big spreads. Like for example, I bet women's Team Canada minus 4.5 against Switzerland, which goes at 11:30 p.m. tonight Eastern time. That's now at 5.5. I'd still recommend it, but they look towards these big spreads, but it's because of the talent out there. But if you look at the rosters for both America and Canada, it's a lot more, how do I say it, role players, I guess I would say. So guys that, I mean, let's put it this way. Eric Stahl is the captain of Team Canada. He was a third liner on the Montreal Canadiens last year, and he's the captain of our Olympic team. That's got to say something to us, you know. I'm expecting unders with some of these teams. I think that we could see, you know, teams like Switzerland and kind of surprise in both teams, and excuse me, both women and men's as far as the spread goes. So I find it real interesting, Jeff, when we talk about hockey and you're laying a field goal, you know, or a touchdown. And we talked about it together with the World Juniors. One thing I'll say, and this is just kind of a blanket strategy I've used for these type of tournaments, is out the gate, look more towards the underdogs on these spreads. And then as the tournament progresses in that round robin, that's when you look towards the favorites, because it does take some time for the chemistry of these teams to get together. And when I'm checking these rosters, I'm checking, okay, how long has this person been a part of the national team? How long has this person gone to the Olympics before? It's kind of stuff I look towards. But for some of the top teams like Canada, like USA, I'm looking towards a lot of unders with them. I think Finland will be okay too. But I really don't expect the scores to be jacked up as much as you usually see in the Olympics.
You know, when I talk Summer Olympics, I always say, you know, it's listen, way back in the day when the US put together that dream team, Bird, Jordan, all those guys, Magic, whatever. You know, it was, you know, every game they're expected to win by 40. They already had won the gold before they even stepped into the country hosting. Um, all right, you proved your point the first time. If you know the 4 years later you wanted to prove another point, fine. I always enjoy to watch the kids play. I rather
Mhm.
see them get the experience. I think it's long term better to see the kids out there than to put together these dream teams and just, you know, assume the gold, and then you hope no one's getting hurt. You know, you come back to the states, and then if you know you lost your top centerman and goalie because they got hurt at the Olympics, well, it's going to screw your team, you know, in the NHL when they do get back. Are you for or against these type of teams, or would you rather see the kids play, or do you have any thoughts on that?
Uh, I'm not. I don't know. I think that I'm dying to see the regular guys. Honestly, I get your what you're saying there. I'm excited for it now because it's happening now, and it's not all younger players, but we are seeing more players like Owen Power, you know, playing defense for Team Canada, and Devin Levi for goaltending for Canada. I mean, there are a lot of younger guys getting involved. But I think that potentially the World Hockey Championships, the tournament that goes on every year, we should see the younger players because, like you said, we already know how good a lot of these and the problem is with the World Hockey Championships every year too, which usually goes on during the NHL playoffs. For people that don't know, it really depends on which NHLers representing Finland, USA, Russia, or Canada are still in the playoffs with their teams. So it's never really as much about country versus country. It's which players didn't make the playoffs in their for prospective teams. So I think that tournament should have a lot of younger players. And I love watching the World Juniors, but I would have loved to have seen, and I love cheering my country on. I would have loved to have seen McDavid and McKinnon and Crosby and those guys all on the same team. But it kind of bugs me a little bit, Jeff, that so many people, including some Canadians as well, just kind of turned off by the tournament now. I can't wait to watch it. International hockey is exciting. It's a big ice surface, which makes a different type of hockey. And I just can't wait to watch this, like the downhill skiing, the jumps, and all this crazy stuff. It's fun. Like it's entertaining. My girlfriend likes watching that stuff. Better than me just watching NBA and my NHL bets every night. It's fun. So I look forward to the Olympics.
We were getting all hot and lathered up for the juniors, and we had one show, and then the next, I think
Yeah.
a day later, it was canceled.
I have some news about that, Jeff. Actually, they're coming
Okay,
back in August. They're resuming it in August.
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Sorry to cut you off there, but I'm
No,
excited about that.
so we'll have two headliners for your weekly show. We're going to have the CFL and the juniors. Then how's
Yeah.
that?
That'd be awesome. I'm pumped for that. I couldn't believe they did that, but they're going to bring it back.
Okay, closing on the Olympics, women. Are we to expect a Canada-US again final?
It's hard to see anything else happening. Maybe Finland is the dark horse, but it's the type of draw where you look at all the plus money and they always say chalk doesn't matter if they win, and plus money doesn't matter if it loses, and that's kind of what I feel about that draw. I mean, there's so many different plus money and huge prices, but we're going to see the USA women's team against the the Canadian team, and I just think that if there's going to be an upset, we're going to tell early on that another team is impressing us. If not, we're bound to see it. But as far as the spread goes, should be real interesting to see. But like I said, I've locked in Team Canada -4.5 for tonight against Switzerland. I feel like the biggest advantage for USA and for Canada in the women's is that obviously funding is a huge thing. These players all know each other. All these ladies are familiar with each other. They've played together countless times. There's not that much turnover with the rosters versus some other rosters. I was reading an article from The Athletic last night about this. They're a little bit different. There's, the last Olympics, some teams, it's like, 5 or 6 players returning, Jeff, which could be super hard, whereas USA has like, they've only lost like 4 or 5 ladies. That's difficult for the turnaround.
We both were on the. Oh, I'm assuming I saw your timeline.
Yeah.
Our lone hockey play last night was the Flames.
Awesome.
They score the first goal 2 minutes in, and then it's 1-1, then it's 2-1, then it's 3-1, and we're just leaking oil into the third period. And it was funny because I saw 3-2, but then I looked on your timeline and I saw Capital Flames, and I'm like, oh shoot, did they just score again? And it was 3-3, and then of course we make it 4-3, and then we win that game. God, I needed that too because I got 0-2 in the hoops, in the college hoops again. Talk to us about the pucks this past week since we talked about. I've seen a lot of props. I'm seeing a lot of different angles that you're using. How's the week been?
It's been pretty good. I had a little bit of a slump. I had a 4 or 5 day slump where I wasn't getting crushed by any means, but it was just Splitsville for several days or -1 game and stuff like that. So, but hey, if my worst days are just, -1 or 2 units, I'll take that. But How about yesterday? Plus 400, plus 410. Coyotes biggest upset since betting wise since 2006. Colorado. They had their bags packed for Punta Cana. I think they're ready to go for the All-Star break. I think, but yeah, NHL. I think that the biggest thing that I continue to do, Jeff, is find these travel spots. I'd say that 90% of my NHL handicapping is all about travel. When did you get home from your road trip? How long have you been home? How far into your East Coast or West Coast road trip are you? And that's really been the biggest thing for me lately. And yeah, you mentioned the props. I appreciate you mentioning that because I've been so hesitant, Jeff, to do the props because and the problem, we talk about all the time, leaving plays on the table. And if I'm on a show and I say, "Wow, Chris Kreider is having an unbelievable season, leading the league in goals and power play goals. This guy's getting like 4 shots a game." And I see that his over for shots is 2.5 or 3.5. And I'm just like noticing these trends, but not betting them or releasing them for clients. So what Wager Talk changed for us to do over the past year is half unit plays, which has been huge for me with the prop market because you can handle the volatility of the market. Like last night, I wish they were all bigger plays because I had a great night. But tonight, it's a volatile market with the props. But shots on goal, players to get a point, goal scorers. One thing, and I hope that you take a look and join me on this because it's unbelievable. These top line players, like yesterday, I got Anthony Cirelli to get a point, minus 120. The two other guys he played on his top line with Tampa Bay, Braden Point was minus 210 to get a point. So how does it make sense that the guy that he's on the same line with is minus 210 to get a point when all Cirelli has to do is shoot the puck off the goalie's pads and Point gets the puck and scores? And I just could not. Yesterday, I cashed Michael Bunting plus 245 to score. Guess who he played with? Mitch Marner and Austin Matthews. So if one of those two guys sets you up for a goal, which is exactly what happened, plus 245. Meanwhile, Austin Matthews is minus 130 to score a goal. It blows my mind that the odds makers are really behind on this prop market. They don't think about it as a line for line thing. They think about it as players, I guess. Like, who is this Michael Bunting guy? Rookie, younger player, but he's playing with Austin Matthews. So he's bound to do something, and he had a hat trick on Saturday. So definitely these props are something I'm looking forward to a lot more.
And I can piggyback off of that just on gambling Twitter. All these, I'll say it nicely, so-called experts out there in the NBA prop world. And it's easy for the public and the degens to relate and latch onto these people because they know the star power. Steph Curry,
Yes.
Harden, Durant, LeBron, and the list is endless, obviously. And my point is, has anyone ever seen a prop under, or I should say it this way, has anyone seen a prop over that they didn't like? So in other words, they're listing 10 props and 10 of them are all overs, and they're all juiced minus 130, minus 140, minus 150.
Mm-hmm.
And my point is, hey, yeah, we had an okay night. We went 6-4, but if you add up the 4 losses with the juice, you forgot to say that you were minus 2.25 units. And so I gotta hats off to you because you're peeling back that extra layer. They're not caught up into the NHL prop market because people don't do what you're doing. Is the fact the big names, okay, anytime Edmonton plays, they're going to overprice a McDavid. They're going to take the big names. They're going to overprice. Toronto, same thing. A Matthews, someone of that nature. Washington with Ovechkin, and those names that the average person can relate to, overprice them, and they're still going to play them. Where you pull out Bunting plus 245, and 95% of the people don't know who the hell he is.
Yes, and to your point, and we're not trying to rip on people by any means, but it's true. I have a guy at Wager Talk, Andy Lang, amazing prop expert. He gives out more props than totals and sides. He tells me if you see a big name player, points, rebounds, and assists, take the under. But what do these people on Twitter think? LeBron's playing. Let's take his over on assists, points, as everything. Giannis, Antetokounmpo, everything he does, people want to take the over. They don't understand that Giannis could have an unbelievable game and still go under his points, rebounds, and assists. Nikola Jokic, his points, rebounds, assists is like 52 and a half every night. He's not going to get that every single night. So I appreciate it. And it's so funny about the NHL because it's a sport with 4 lines. So tonight, I'm looking at it. I wasn't trying to look away and I was listening. I was just trying to bring this up. Connor McDavid to get a point tonight is minus 417 at one of my books I use. Okay. Alexander Ovechkin to get a point is minus 333. Now you can get Evander Kane, who's playing on the same line with McDavid, at minus 140. So who's to think that at some point when McDavid decides to do McDavid type things, Evander Kane might have touched the puck before that happened? I just don't quite understand how one line mate, like I know it's McDavid, and that might be a bad example, but I don't know. Like I always joke around with my buddies. Like if I play with with McKinnon or Crosby, I could just sit in front of the net with my stick on the ice and I'd get a point in 82 games. You know, like these guys, the way they set you up, like Jesse Puljujarvi, he's plus 100 tonight. Anybody watching this, I recommend you jump on him to get a point. You know, he's it's just it blows my mind that. So if they separate Leon Draisaitl and McDavid tonight, which they are, last time I checked, then Puljujarvi's on one line, Yamamoto's on the next line. 2 guys that the average hockey fan might not even know who they are. But those guys are going to be plus 100 or minus 110 to get a point, and Draisaitl and McDavid are going to be like minus 220. And we're not asking these guys to score goals. And chances are they probably won't score a goal, Jeff. But hey, give me an assist and we're laughing.
I have the board up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games. Obviously, Calgary's a bit pricey. Minnesota opened up minus 170, now down to 152. The Islanders opened up at 165, now 190. I see a flip. Washington opened up at 135. Now it's circa. Edmonton's minus 110. And the Kings opened up minus 145, now minus 126 at Detroit. What are you seeing tonight?
Well, Minnesota and Chicago, I think that's just a clear shootout type game. That's going to be just goal, 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 day before the All-Star break. 2 teams that aren't playing the best defensively right now. The only problem is you're going to get the goal production from Chicago. That's kind of the biggest question. I think Minnesota can do it. I think they can also carry Chicago into a high-scoring game. I like over 6 in that one. Seattle, New York. One fun, interesting stat about New York, the Islanders. Pretty much they do well against teams they should beat, and they don't do well against higher class opponents. They're 10-1 their last 11 games as a favorite. They do really well there. The regulation price is minus 110 on the Islanders, so I like that as well. Other than that, I think it's going to be a real interesting night as far as the Calgary-Arizona game. Arizona off that big underdog victory. Calgary off their big comeback that you and I both had. So that to me is kind of a stay away. What about you? What are you looking at for tonight?
Well, you kind of piqued my interest with a couple of things that you did say. Just from the market and the movement, my kryptonite on Washington. If I go against them, it's a big night for Ovechkin and Oshie and the rest of that crew. But Edmonton's been that. Everyone knows McDavid. We talked about it. So everyone flocks to them. Now you get 2 big name stars head to head, but Edmonton as a favorite at Washington doesn't make much sense to me there. You talked about the Islanders and regulation. It's funny when you talk regulation, I then try to flip it and say, okay, well, I know the total's 5.5, but Seattle played last night in Boston and down 2-0, rallied to 2-2 to lose to 3-2. I kind of would lean Islanders puck line and try to get some plus money on that one. And I also agree with you on that over in the Minnesota Chicago game.
The problem is, we need Chicago to help us out. So I guess me saying that should probably mean I like Minnesota in some way, shape, or form too. That Kings and Wings game, I've got nothing. So I've got nothing. I don't know about that very much. I got to ask you overall, how have those puck lines been treating you? Because there's a stat that I've been running quite a bit this week on shows I've been doing where I found that it was like since November 13th or something like that. If you played $100 on puck line favorites, you're up like $5,000. And when I saw that stat, I was like, oh my goodness. Like I should have been listening to Jeff and picking my spots on these puck lines.
We had a great run. And like a lot of things, kind of got cold. So I've backed off. Disappointed in myself on Monday. I had the Red Wings on the desk and I backed out of it. And they ended up winning in overtime. There was a nice market move on them there. So the puck lines to me, it's funny because when I do the puck lines and we lose, I always think of you and some others that I respect in the game that use the regulation line. So do you sit there and sweat? Do you need the empty netter, or is it a box to wire win? Or you feel good when they lose the game outright? You're like, all right, well, hey, I didn't lose the minus 190. I had them at plus 125 on the puck line, so all is well.
Mhm.
Uh, what's your thoughts? Regulation versus the puck line.
Yeah, I guess I've gotten away from the regulation lately. It's all about the price to me because with the regulation, I guess you have to ask yourself, I mean, how many times are you taking these regulations that are winning by one, and that should really be the difference. Obviously, that's a pretty obvious statement, but with these puck lines, what a lot of people are doing lately is playing these minus ones, and unless you have to worry about a huge favorite in the mix, nobody wants to do that. You know, putting a half unit on the puck line, half unit on the money line, and for that reason is because if you get the puck line, boom, it's a 2-0, 2-0 winner. If you get the split on the money line and the puck line, it's a 1-1, you break even. But if it goes to OT, and they win, same thing, But if they go to OT and lose, then all of a sudden you lose two wagers in the money line and the puck line. But long term, I've just felt so good about doing the regulations because they kind of like they just save me. But I will say it's nothing is worse than when you have a regulation wager you make and they go to overtime. And I'll tell you, I don't know if you do this. I think most of us do this. I'm cheering against them. If I have a team in regulation and they go to overtime, I'm literally just cheering against them. I'm like, well, you couldn't get it done for me in 60, so I want you to lose now.
Well, and that's a great thought because listen, if you play regulation, I play puck line, and it gets to OT, it doesn't matter. Neither one of us can win. And,
Yeah.
and secondly, I see so many people do that minus one, and I just my 2 cents. I despise it for this reason. Okay, they're trying to get in on a big favorite. Uh, they assume they're going to win, and so they just invested X. They watched the game 60 minutes like the Bruins last night, and they win 3-2. It's like kissing your sister. It's like betting a football game and the number's 3 or 7, and it lands on a field goal or 7. I mean,
Mhm.
you're almost like not taking a stance when you're doing the minus one. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. It's like you're not really fully committed. Is that what you mean? Like, is that, yeah, you're not really, yeah, I get that. I don't know. I remember a couple years ago, regulation, people were kind of just like, well, why are you doing that? If you like the pick, just take the money line. That's the line I used to get, right? If you like the pick, just take the money line. And I was just like, well,
Okay.
I like the pick, but if they lose, I don't want to lose minus 200 every night. And certain spots, like it's just, like, for example, Minnesota. I think Minnesota is actually a perfect example of that tonight, really, because they're like in that range where you start to get out of comfortability. For my personal preference for the range, I'm willing to go with money line. Like every now and then I'll give out a minus 145, 150 money line, Jeff. But if it gets up to 80, no, that's for me, my personal preference. That's where I either move to a puck line or a regulation. What about you? What's kind of like your threshold?
And I like to compare hockey to baseball, my comfort zone, I don't have a problem playing minus 120, 125, 130. Then you get into the 35s and okay, I'm okay with that. And then you start trickling into that 138, 139. Once I get to 140, I'm like, here we go. And especially in baseball, that magic number of 150. And it's like, even though you love the matchup, you love the pitching matchup, or in hockey, again, you really think Minnesota's going to win today. Okay. So here's what I do to kind of sometimes talk myself off of this, Andrew, is this. If you're a dollar player and you play three minus 150s for the night, you're risking 450 to win $300. Okay. And if you go 2-1, you're going to net yourself $50. And then obviously you get the 1 and 2s and the 0 and 3s, and it's like this. So it's almost like if you had three minus 150s, and I'm not here to promote parlays, but you're better off just putting them together in a parlay. If one of them go down, well, you lose the half unit that you put it on, but you're saving yourself from the 1 and 2 night and the 0 and 3 night and really
I
crushing the
did that
bankroll.
Monday, Jeff, on the Oilers, Panthers, and Leafs. And which team blew it for me was the Oilers. But hey, that was a plus 110 parlay, right? So like you said, it came down to one team. They lost in overtime. I didn't have to pay to play. I got the plus price. So to your point there, some might say, well, man, you gave out a 3-teamer and it lost. But hey, I didn't give out a minus 200 and it lost. That's kind of the way I saw it. So it was disappointing, though. I never really usually do that. I thought it was just a small play. Told the clients, hey, you know what? I think it'll be a chalky night tonight. These two teams together, or these three teams, we can get plus 110 on them. And obviously didn't work out. But to your point, and I've had to learn that as a lot of the way. And I've been trying to be really transparent with my journey as a handicapper. We should all still be learning. We're all learning together. And, you know, it's about protecting the cost and protecting the juice. It was actually a big topic on our puck time shows this week, and there was no confrontation or anything, but several of us all have different thresholds, right, for prices that we're willing to lay. And I'm the type of person in real life and with betting and with anything. I believe everybody's entitled to their own opinion on everything, on a lot of different things, right? I'm a very non-confrontational type person, and if someone says to me they think tonight this team is worthy of laying minus 240 on, who am I to tell them not to do that? You know, I'm just not going to be the guy to do it. I'd rather just put them, hey, you know what? We'll put you and this team together, and all of a sudden we got minus 130. That's kind of more my style, pick two teams, make a two-teamer. The funny thing is, though, Jeff, there's still going to be those people that are saying, I can't believe you're giving out parlays. And I'm like, well, I can't believe someone's giving out a minus 200. So it's all about opinions, right?
And you're right. You cannot win. We're not here promoting and preaching parlays. Listen, every Sunday we put together an action parlay. The week is complete. We're up X, we're down X. We're going to take a swing at a 3-team parlay. Hope to win 4, 5, 6 units. If not, we're only going to, lose that half unit or a unit. And this past Sunday, we popped them for 420. It was 420. We had under in the Chiefs Bengals game. We had the Rams money line, and we had Washington State minus 4.5, and they won by 30. So we ended the week 420. Ended Sunday plus 420 for the week. We were still down a unit or two, but I'm not going to ask anyone if you're going into Sunday down 5 or 6 units and someone wants to get even. Well, I'm not going to ask you to play 10 units so you can hope to go 8-2 and get even for the week, because you're putting your bankroll at too much at risk.
Definitely. And I think the biggest thing is everybody has to live for tomorrow. Everybody it's like, oh my God, there's a full college hoop slate. NBA's got 8 games. The NHL's got 13 games. Like, tonight's the night I hit that big parlay, and then every game ends and it's nighttime and you're wondering, why did I play 22 wagers? And you see it online, people all the time, like, rough night tonight, I went 4-11. I'm like, you played 15 games tonight. Like, and that's the thing. Like, I've told you my volume's been a lot more up and down. Like last night I had 10 plays But I talked to you about those half unit plays. And for us at Wager Talk, it's a 1% to 5% scale usually. So that's kind of, so now we have the 0.5%, which is super small for us. And so even though I had 10 plays, 8 of those were 0.5% units. And even I don't ever usually give out that much, but because it was like an 11 game, I think, slate in NHL, 11 or 13, it was one of those nights where I didn't feel bad doing it because there's so many different options out there. But yeah, it's my favorite part about the sports betting community, Jeff, that we could have 5 other people on here that couldn't disagree more with us about what we're saying right now. They'll tell us, I love giving out minus 220s if it's the right spot, and I hate this and parlays, and I'll give out 20 plays. And to me, that's one of my favorite parts of the betting community, actually, is that we all really share our own opinions. And I love it when you and I are on the same page, but I very well could have come on here and said I like the Blackhawks over, and you could have said, well, the under's the play. And then we're just looking at each other thinking, oh my God, well, what do we say now?
The scroller has been on now for 41 minutes at McInnis Picks at Wager Talk at Sports Mayflower. Check them out on YouTube at Mayflower Sports. Subscribe. It's free. Tell a friend, retweet. Andrew knows what the hell's going on, and he's accessible. If you ask him a question, guess what? He answers you back, unlike a lot of these other people in the industry. But Andrew, the stage is yours. Tell everyone where to find you, what you got going on this week for February Olympics, whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean, I don't often do this, but I do have a big play tonight in the NHL at wagertalk.com before the last game, before the All-Star break. So super excited about that big play going tonight, the highest rated play we have. And other than that, check us out on Puck Time. We're back on Mondays every day. It's at 11 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. And yeah, continue to watch this great show with Jeff Dawson. So I appreciate being on here as always. And we'll be back on next Wednesday, and we'll be talking some Olympics.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will. I can't thank you enough. I love our Wednesdays. We're going to keep it going as long as we can. Before you know it, again, we'll be talking CFL. Then before you know it, we'll be talking junior hockey again, which I am so excited for. But so much that will happen before, and obviously our trip to Vegas, which will be a memorable one as well. So thank you. Everyone here, I want to thank for coming on, watching, listening, retweet if you can. Tell a friend, tell another friend. That's what we're here for. We're here to educate with a few entertainments, a few little jokes here and there and smiles to get you through the day. But always remember this, if you are wagering tonight, always wager responsibly. If you have a problem, pick up the phone. There's an 800 number available to you. Ask for help. Why? Because we care. We would like to see you here today, tomorrow, next week, next month, through 22 and beyond. For myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, Andrew McInnis at McInnis Picks at Wager Talk at Sports Mayflower. Have a great day. Cash some tickets. Have some fun with these games. And we'll see you tomorrow.